Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the Cape Coral Gabfest live broadcast here on Starship Adventures, and this is live out of Southwest Florida. And this is a Simplex net. What makes that special is the fact that we're not using a repeater. Everybody will be listening radio to radio. So that's what makes this broadcast unique. Is people who can't hear everybody can use the YouTube broadcast so that they're able to hear the other stations that are involved in the net. And my name's Ian. This is Starship Adventures here, and I'm broadcasting live from Southwest Florida in Starship Studios. And we've got some weather going on out there. We've currently got a tornado warning that we will be monitoring in the lower right corner, along with some storm chasers that are there. We're currently watching one tornado warning in Douglas, and this is in Nebraska and Indiana. And so we are watching that, and that's going to be on the screen. You can see our three storm chasers there out ahead of it. And here, I'll let you go. Here's the net.
Coral Gabfest. My name is John, and my call sign is November 6th, Juliet Delta Hotel. I'll be your host this evening, this third Thursday of April, for the Cape Coral Gabfest. We meet on 146.490 Simplex at 8 p.m. local time every Thursday, and we welcome any and all ham radio operators to join us. After check-ins, we go through 2 rounds of comments, so please remember to stick around for the second pass. As always, you may discuss anything you like, but our topic tonight is, what part of ham radio do you enjoy the most, and why? So let's see who we've got this evening. This is N6JDH, and again, my name is John. I'm calling for check-in to the Cape Coral Gabfest. Please come now.
Net control, this is Whiskey 4 Echo Juliet Whiskey, Ed.
Net control check-in, KO4 EFS, Ian in North Fort Myers.
Net control. This is Whiskey 6, Whiskey.
Whiskey 8, King Zebra Tango, Rick.
Net control. Net control, this is Kilo Romeo 4 Alpha Juliet Mike David.
Net control, KI4 GED, Charles East Fort Myers.
This is Net Control, November 6th, Juliet Delta Hotel. So far for the net tonight, we have Whiskey 4 Echo Juliet Whiskey Ed, KO4 EFS Ian, W6 Whiskey, too many whiskey Tim, W8 Kilo Zebra Tango Rick, Kilo Romeo 4 Alpha Golf Mike David, Kilo India 4 Golf Echo David Charles. Are there any others that need to check in, or did we miss anybody in the first round? Come now.
Net control. Kilo 4 Romeo Alpha Bravo Rick in Fort Myers.
Net acknowledges Kilo 4 Romeo Alpha Bravo Rick. Are there any others tonight? Not negative contact. Okay, on the round 1, I sort of come up with a, I guess you could say, a feeler for everybody on the net tonight to see what part of ham radio do you enjoy the most, but putting emphasis on why. Tell us why. So first up, we're going to start with Whiskey 4, Echo Juliet Whiskey. Ed, go ahead, Ed.
Thank you, John, and good evening, everyone on the net. This is Whiskey 4 Echo Juliet Whiskey, Ed from North Cape Coral. What I enjoy best about amateur radio is the digital modes. And I'm active on D-Star, DMR, C4FM, which and obviously Fusion. And I have radios for all of the above. I don't know. I just like the clarity, the easy communications on the different talk groups and reflectors, and it's easier, very easy to talk to people clearly all over the world, and that's what I'm interested in. That's what keeps me occupied, and obviously keeps me buying radios. Back to net.
Net control. Ed, I noticed that you travel quite a bit, and when you travel, like you were recently down in the Keys, do you utilize the D-Star repeaters down there, or do you use an open spot, or how do you communicate on your digital modes when you travel? Back to Whiskey 4 Echo Juliet Whiskey.
Yeah, I was in Marathon, and I could not find a local repeater for D-Star. The closest one that came up in the radio itself was Miami, and we're not going to hit Miami on a handheld, and that's the radios that I had down there, obviously. There is a DMR repeater there, and I didn't see anything fusion-wise either. I did have my open spot down there, and I actually used most of the time the Shark RF M1KE, and I would just switch the operating mode, from D-Star to DMR or to C4FM. And I'll tell you, that little thing that I used, I was able to communicate with Indonesia and different places around the world that work really, really well. I brought my own travel break for the repeater. I brought my own travel router and hooked that to the room, and I was able to operate through my own travel router, and it worked fine. This is Whiskey 4 Echo Juliet Whiskey, back to net.
Thank you, Ed. Now, I was just curious how it was to travel, and wanting to do digital, but I appreciate your input there. Next up is Kilo Oscar 4 Echo Foxtrot Sierra Ian. Ian, tell us what you like about ham radio operations. Go ahead.
Well, when it comes to ham radio, I got to tell you, I fell in love with FT8. I loved it because of the brevity. I loved it because it's a constant look at the propagation out there and how things are going. And I fell in love with FT8. I really did. And I did that for a long time. I think I've got about 24,000 contacts on FT8. And I really, really like it. However, as my antennas get better and my radios get better, I'm starting to really fall in love with HF phone, specifically POTA. I've just absolutely loved doing POTA. HF propagation and then VHF tropospheric propagation have both just become a huge interest of mine. I bought the 2 meter sideband radio and put up a beam so I can try to get 2 meter sideband contacts. So yeah, for me, it was FT8 was my first big love probably. And then after that, it's going to be HF. And I love to broadcast about it on YouTube as well. So, and by the way, we are live on YouTube tonight. If anybody's having a hard time hearing anybody, you can hear it over on the YouTube channel. Just type in at Starship Adventures, and I'm live there. Also, the SSTV is live as well, and over on Starship After Dark, I've got something over there that's live too. So lots of stuff going on here. But yeah, that's my two, FT8, and the other one lately it's been POTA HF phone. I'll pass it to the next round. KO4 EFS.
KO4 EFS, thank you for that. I know that FT8 is intriguing me now because I'm very heavily into POTA phone, mainly because that the propagation, the signals have been just the bands have been very, very difficult lately, but I might have to revisit that with you and get your advice on that. Next up will be Whiskey 6, Whiskey. Tim, too many whiskeys. Go ahead.
All right, guys, we're not hearing Triple Whiskey. I heard him earlier, but we're not hearing him now. I squelched down, and yeah, there you go. Rob, let me check. I get a lot of emails. Someone else emailed me this week too, and I haven't found that one yet either. Let me see. What's the subject line on it, if you don't mind? Maybe I'll find it that way. Yeah, and again, we're still monitoring. Everything's still on. The person that's talking right now is out of range for me.
Whiskey 6, Triple Whiskey. Tim, have you gotten any unique DXs this past week? Back to you.
Okay, and again, we're not going to hear Triple Whiskey. No, one of the things I've been playing around with this week, guys, is putting in prompts into
I'm just curious. I appreciate that.
Chat GPT. We'll talk about it afterwards.
A lot of fun or exciting when you get a new one. Moving on, we have Whiskey 8 Kilo Zulu Whiskey. Or correction, Whiskey 8 Kilo Zuliet Tango. Rick, you're up.
Hey, good evening, John. W8KZT here, and good evening to everybody. Yeah, it's very interesting to hear everybody's preferences and what they really like. My particular preference has always been voice contact, so phone operations, and it doesn't matter what particular type, mostly single sideband I go for on most of the HF frequencies, but I do have the capability of doing D-Star and also Fusion with, especially the D-Star with the radio I'm on now, which is ICOM 9700, and I've got a Yaesu dual band that also does the Fusion. I used to use that one up in Ohio when I belonged to the Voice of America radio club up there, and they did some of their meeting, like a meeting on the air, on both regular frequencies and on the Fusion frequencies. So it was pretty interesting, but they didn't take it any further than that. I do like the DX capability with the HF. I like building antennas and doing some testing with that. So I do have a rotatable dipole that I've made for doing POTA activations, and we'll do that when I ever take time to do it. But I have tested it out in the backyard. Actually, I had it laying across a couple of garbage cans and talked to somebody up in North Carolina or South Carolina. I can't remember which one it was, but with it just laying there on the garbage cans, it worked out pretty good. So I guess it'll be good when I put it up on that 20-foot pole I've got. So I'm also thinking about going with a telescopic pole for that very same reason. make it a lot easier. So I think that pretty much tells my story. Love it, and always have loved the capability of speaking to people rather than not speaking to them. So the personal touch to it makes a big difference. W8KZT, back to you, John.
W8KZT, appreciate that. I have a Spider 12-meter telescoping fiberglass pole that I'm rigging up for the tactical Delta loop. But now at like Babcock and such, they don't want you tying anything to vegetation, putting wires in trees. And outside of the campground, now they don't even want you driving a stake in the ground. So I was trying to figure out a way to secure the telescopic fiberglass pole, and I'm in the process of learning how to 3D print a trailer hitch adapter that'll fit in the 2-inch receiver that'll hold and cradle it vertically, like for up to about 2 feet off the ground. You know, so the base of it, of course, will touch the ground. Let's break for a repeater, see if it comes up.
You don't have to break for a repeater, John.
Yeah, you're right about that. I forgot it as soon as I took my finger off the PTT. But anyway, yeah, I'm working on something to make something like that, so I have leave less of a footprint. But you're right. I have found that getting the antenna up is a great benefit. And with that, we'll move on to Kilo Romeo 4 Alpha Golf Mike David. David, it's your turn.
Okay, guys, apparently we're not hearing David either, but while David's talking real quick, Rob, yeah, I did see that. That's World Amateur Radio Day.
I think he's got a PL involved there, John.
Roger that. I thought maybe we were going to need a relay. Any suggestions of what we need to tell him?
David, you may want to double check, make sure you're on frequency for one thing, 146.490, and also without a PL tone. We're getting a intermittent, off and on signal from you, but no audio.
Maybe off frequency because I'm not hearing him at all here.
Yeah, I heard him when he checked in. Let's give him a few seconds here to see if he can come back up on the frequency.
All right, real quick, while they're waiting for him, just to let you know, we're watching 3 storm chases that are live right now near La Vista.
At the bottom of the list.
And let's see where we're at here. It's going to be...
Golf Echo, David, Charles. Charles, it's your turn.
We got 2 tornado warnings out right now.
Thanks for taking the net tonight. Your signal's great tonight. Good job there for sure. I'm hearing you real good over here in East Fort Myers. I don't do too much on anything. I like the Simplex frequency here. I haven't got on the repeaters much lately. And I listen on HF some. I haven't been real active. 75 meters, I like to listen to the Traders Nets there, the Old Coach Traders Net and the Florida Traders Net. But I've not been real active doing the Hamfest. We went to one last weekend in Tampa. It was a tailgate, actually, to the Tampa Amateur Radio Club. They have it about 3 times a year. And I had an amplifier took up to get repaired. Took it up to Bradenton a couple of weeks before that, and a friend of mine in Brandon fixes a real good on amps here for sure. And like I say, I haven't been doing real active on the HF or on the radio that much either. And I'm curious, has anybody heard from John, AA4JS? That's it for this round, so I'll send it back to you, John. N6, JDH, this is KI4GED.
KI4GED, I appreciate that. So, Charles, you don't do HF, or you do it on occasion? Back to you.
Well, I was doing the Traders Net the Traders Net on the Florida Traders Net. Then the antenna, the tree went down and all. I did some HF there, but that's all I've been doing. Mostly just 75 meters on 3933 on Sunday morning. And I don't do that anymore. I'm not real active on anything, and I won't be at the swap shop until until May. Actually, the next swap shop is the 26th of April. That's the fourth Saturday of this month. The swap shops are second, fourth Saturday. That's it. I'll send it back to you again, John. N6 JDH. This is KI4 GED.
I appreciate that, Charles. This is Net Control, November 6th, Juliet Delta Hotel. Okay, with that, we'll be moving on to Kilo 4, Romeo Alpha Bravo. Rick, it's up to you.
Okay, it's K4RAB. Please bear with me. I've been having a little bit of trouble hearing everybody tonight, so I don't know if I have an antenna problem or what. So you might want to let me know if I've got a good, strong signal coming out where you are. Yeah, I got into ham radio back in the 1970s, and so I've been in it a while. Started out with FM and repeaters, and the great thing about ham radio is there's always something else there to explore. There's many, many things. I've got moved down here in the last few years, and I've been able to put up decent HF antennas and been making contacts on that. So I've worked a lot of phone and a lot of CW. So, and digital awaits for me to explore that. So there's always something new to learn, and always something new to explore. Like I said, one of the things I want to be able to do my logging on a Raspberry Pi. There's all kinds of things I want to do. So, like I said, the great thing about ham radio is you never run out of new things to explore, and there's new technologies coming along as well. So it's changed a lot since I got started in it. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to you. This is K4REB.
K4RAB, this is N6JDH, Net Control. Just so you know, Rick, you're coming in and Matt Lachey loud and clear at a 5.8, solid 5.8 on my signal meter on my 9700, and your signal sounds perfect, just so you know. So you don't do any POTA at all, CW or on phone at all, do you? Back to you.
I'm starting to get into POTA. I went to a thing this last weekend about how to do POTA hunting. I'm quite a CW and QRP operator. In fact, I ran two sessions of the CW test, the CW ops thing yesterday with my KX3, and did one of them barefooted and made a pretty good number of contacts. HF was pretty good. Yeah, I do quite a bit of CW. In fact, I'm probably going to be doing more of it, but there's plenty of other things to explore too. I like to do contesting, so I love that, and so and I love to do it with wire antennas. So and if I can do it that way, I'll do it. Although I've got a hex beam, I just haven't had it back up since the hurricane. So anyway, Hurricane Ian, that is. So any other questions, I'll answer them. This is K4RAB.
I appreciate that, K4RAB. Yeah, I know I saw you at the swap shop in the Hunter POTA that NAGU was doing. Today, Tom Provenzano gave me a website to research, and I started looking at it, and it's AA9er Papa Whiskey PW.com. And it's a Morse code based website where you can practice and you can set the rates and all that to learn and read and or to copy it, to decipher it, I guess you could say. And I found it rather fascinating. Do you use that website? AA9erPapaWhiskey.com.
No, not too familiar with that one. But the great thing is I've done pretty well with getting in it. I started out with the slow speed test. I'm going to do that again tomorrow. They run those every week on Fridays. Well, actually on Sunday night too. But CW Ops runs a thing called CWT several times on Wednesdays. Then there's the other one, the medium speed test on Mondays. So I usually get those. And I want to get started in POTA, and I figure I'll probably do that CW. I've already listened to a few POTA contacts on CW, and it looks like it's going to be real easy. So, and like I said, I'd like to get to where I can actually go to a site and activate. But I want to learn what it's all about and all the ins and outs before I actually go to a site. So anyway, yeah, I do plan on getting into POTA. This is K4REB.
I appreciate that, K4REB, and I appreciate your input on that. Before we call for additional check-ins, I want to go back and see if Kilo Romeo 4 Alpha Golf Mike David is been able to come back up on the air. David? Okay, looks like we lost David. Nothing heard. Okay, with that, are there any late check-ins, rechecks, or anyone wanting to add anything to the net before we go to round 2? Come now. And I copy that with Kilo Foxtrot 6, Foxtrot Juliet David, correct? Okay, Mike, the topic for tonight is what part of ham radio do you enjoy the most and why? But before we get to that topic, are there any additional check-ins besides Mike? Come now. Nothing heard. So Kilo Foxtrot 6, Foxtrot Juliet David, Mike, again, the topic, the first round topic for tonight is what part of ham radio do you enjoy the most and why? You've got the mic.
Yeah, he's too. I can't get him. All right. That's cool, Rob. You know, I think Morse code's great. I can't do it. I tried. There's just certain things I can't do. Not many, but there's a few out there.
Okay, net control here, KF6FJT. Do you do any CW or any digital?
Normally we can hear just about everybody, but the propagation's bad tonight.
Well, roger that. Well, I appreciate your input there, and I appreciate your sharing that with us. And as we move into round 2, we can either make comments about anything, you know, the topic is up to you. You can talk about anything you want, or we can have follow-up questions to what you said before, which Whiskey 4 Echo Juliet Whiskey talked about his desire to continue with digital mode. I'm just curious, are you planning on doing any HF? I know we put an antenna up at your place. So with that, Whiskey 4 Echo Juliet Whiskey, Ed, you've got the microphone.
Yeah, this is Whiskey 4 Echo Juliet Whiskey. Yeah, I do plan on doing that. You know, like one of the other stations said tonight, there's many areas in amateur radio that interest people, and that is also one of them. I've been into programming the radios also, and that's another thing to learn. It's just one thing after another. You know, you make a list and you follow it, in my case. And will I get there on HF? Yes, absolutely. It just is on the list. And back to you, John.
Yeah, I agree, Ed. Whiskey 4 Echo Juliet Whiskey, I agree with you that there's so much to do that you have to take it in steps. And if you take it too much on at one time, you're not going to truly get a full understanding of what you just left behind. And, I mean, digital, I like, me personally, I like digital. Occasionally, I do use digital, of course. I use DMR and D-Star, but where I really get my enjoyment out of activating for POTA, where I know I have met friends already that enjoy doing hunting with POTA, but you know, everybody has pretty much covered almost all the aspects. I plan on learning CW, and I'm up to about 3 words a minute. I know probably Rick is smiling at that, but that's okay. We all have to start somewhere. So with that, we'll move on to Ian, which I'm going to have some questions for. Kilo Oscar 4, Echo Foxtrot Sierra. Ian, it's up to you.
KO4 EFS, yeah, I do. I love FT8, and I just want to say, for people that like FT8, if you haven't tried FT4, I actually find it better when FT8 gets real busy, especially on 20 meters. Go over to the FT4 frequency, set your thing on FT4, and you'll get more people because the band is more open. And also FT4 is a lot quicker, so if you're getting people, you can really slam through it pretty quick. Anyway, yeah, I really love FT8, FT4. Yeah, we got watching 4 storm chasers out chasing 2 different tornadoes that are down up near Nebraska, and I've got that up along with 4 videos from the storm chasers on YouTube. Anyway, so we're kind of watching that too. But yeah, I when it comes to the phone thing, I've just recently started playing with the single sideband, and I've been watching for these openings on VHF, and it happens. It all started with me being at work and getting a lot of complaints. Hey, we can't hear your radio station in North Fort Myers. We can't hear your radio station in North Cape. And I would always tell them it's tropospheric ducting. There's nothing we can do about it. You're hearing the 92.5 Maxima out of Fort Lauderdale or whatever, out of Tampa area. Anyway, the point is the thing is, when I would be at work and we'd get a bunch of complaints, I'd come home and load it up, and boom, it would be wide open. And I used that program, that VHF DX Watcher. That's a great program. And so chasing VHF long distance contacts has kind of become my thing, both on the call channel and on the sideband call channel on VHF. So that's kind of my new love right now. KO4 EFS.
KO4 EFS net control here. So when you do FT8, you're basically completing from start to finish 1 contact every minute, correct?
If all circumstances are perfect, yes. Because you send out CQ, he responds back, hey, it's Bob. And then you say, hey, Bob, it's Jim. And then Jim says, okay, Jim, it's Bob, and we're good. And that's pretty much it. It's 2 each way. Now, if you're contesting, they shortcut that, and it's actually only 3 transmissions. One back, and then 1 back again. So it depends. But when you're not contesting, it's 3, and it's each person would transmit 2 times to make sure that that the contact is verified and everything. And so yeah, if everything's going perfect, you could do 1 a minute, but it never works out that way. I usually get 1 every 4 or 5 minutes, something like that, more on average.
Copy that. So on FT8, can the band conditions be considerably deteriorated compared to bands necessary to communicate by phone? Back to KO4 EFS.
Yes, the neat thing about FT8 is phone can be completely dead. We can be wiped out, and you will still be able to communicate on FT8 because you can communicate with stations that you wouldn't even be able to hear above the noise floor on voice, but on FT8 it goes right through that because it's using such a slim, narrow piece of the bandwidth. I don't know how. I think it's an amazing science. And everybody writes it off because they're like, you can't send any emergency information through it. Well, we could use the exact same technology, change the time span, and send whatever we want through it if we really wanted to. But yeah, I love it. I used it with my hex beam. I have a really high noise floor here on 20 meters. It's terrible. My noise floor here is 10 over on 20 meters and 5 over on, depending on where you go, 28 megahertz. No matter where you go, I've got a horrible noise floor here. But FT8 allowed me to still come on and work and work and work and get contacts in Japan and Netherlands, New England, and I like it because no matter how bad the bands are and how high the noise floor is, I can still talk to somebody out there. And like I said, if you wait for a quiet night, you get on FT4. Sometimes you can make some really long contacts because there's not that many stations on the frequency.
Copy that. I know that this is net control. I know that for many of the PODA hunters, and for that matter activators, there are regions of the world that's just the only way they're going to get. Now, I did take my Windows-based computer and I loaded the way to calibrate your timer, or I don't know what the proper word is there. I guess it would be calibrate your time, because that is a necessary thing before you do the FT8 software. But I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos and reading a lot of things and talking to a lot of different people about starting to do it. And maybe I will. But back to you for a final comment on it.
People will tell you it's mindless. You're sitting there pressing a button and that's all you're doing, and it's worthless and it's a waste and it's not real ham radio. Bah humbug. Let me tell you something. It is ham radio. There is a technique to it. I got good at it. I got to where I could get lots of contacts. I did lots of contexts with it. The radio I used it with, I finally wore it out. It literally, this FT100, I made 25,000 contacts with this radio and it finally gave out. And now I got to figure out what's wrong with it. So I'm off FT8 right now. I'm doing all phone and voice, but I plan to get back on it. I'm going to get one of these other radios hooked up to the computer. I definitely want to get back on it. There's a lot of strategy on finding the clean spot on the waterfall and then, pouncing on people right at the right time, or knowing when's a good time to call CQ and which side of the street to call CQ on. There's just a lot of strategy to it. I have a video on my channel. If you search for FT8 on my channel, I've got a 2-hour strategy video that Rick and I and a bunch of other guys did back on the TechNet, and it was really good. But yeah, there's a lot of strategy in FT8, and you can just mindlessly hit the button, or you can really work it like anything else and get a lot out of it. So I definitely suggest everybody try some FT8. That's what I got. And guys, the K index is down to 0 right now. So despite the huge amount of disruption we had yesterday in the electromagnetic field, including a brief G4, a geomagnetic storm yesterday, today, quite the opposite. K index of 0, solar flux of 151. All the bands are open, and the geomagnetic field has quieted all the way down to inactive. So now might be a good time to get on the HF for a little while. All right, guys, have a good one. 7.3's KO4 EFS.
KO4 EFS, thank you for that, and I appreciate it. I will be checking out your tutorial on YouTube on the FT8. With that, one of my favorite whiskey call signs, Whiskey 6, Whiskey, Whiskey, Whiskey. Tim, you've got the microphone, sir. You're sounding good. I have you about 5.5 in Matt Lachey, Tim. 5.5 into Matt Lachey.
All right, guys, we can't hear Triple Whiskey tonight. I don't know what's going on with that. Angelo, thanks for coming in, buddy. Victor, Rob, thank you guys for being here. The net's still going on. We've got another 20 minutes or so. We're about halfway through the second round tonight, and we've been talking about, in the first half, we talked about what's people's favorite thing in ham radio, and then in the second half, we've been talking a lot about FT8, and there was also some talk earlier on digital modes. Yeah, Angelo, FT8 is great. You're gonna love it. I can remember the first time I actually saw a Japan station on there with a piece of wire strung up in a tree in my yard with a high noise floor. I can't even talk to anybody on phone, but by God, I heard a station in Japan, and I pounced on him, and he heard me. We made a contact. I couldn't believe it. I got Japan.
Whiskey, six, whiskey.
Let me go back to the net.
No, I agree. When I first opened up and started reading about FT8, I was like, oh my gosh, do I really want to get involved in this? And now I'm grasping a better understanding, so it's more intriguing. And I mean, it's one of those things about continuing education in the hobby. But no, I was just recently told in POTA they don't even want you driving a stake in the ground outside the campground. So I haven't had anybody say anything to me, but I've yet to have FWC pull over and come in to see what I'm doing. I mean, there are people that ride bicycles or walk by, especially up at Babcock, that'll walk in and say, what is that? You know, your antenna. And you just have to basically break from maybe a pile up and take 5 to 10 minutes to explain it to them. But no, I hope to see you out there. I hope to hunt you sometime, Tim, and get you in my logbook. So with that, we're going to move to Whiskey 8 Kilo Zulu Tango. Rick, go ahead.
Okay, John. Yeah, great subject this evening. Getting a lot of good information here. One thing I was going to say to Ian, I think you need to have your electric company, probably it's, I don't know if it's LCEC or whatever, but I'd have them actually contact them and have someone come out and make an evaluation as to why your radio is getting such a high noise level on the floor there. I had the same issue here. A gentleman by the name of Ed came right in my shack, and I had the rotator turned around, and he actually took a picture of what was going on as far as noise into his machine, and he was able to, by the direction I could give it to him, he could give a good idea of where to go to look for it. And they found something probably about a little better than a half mile away, and it was a transformer up on a pole in front of a veterinarian's office. And once that was repaired, no more problems with that. Now, if you've got vertical antennas and stuff like that, yeah, you're going to have a hard time figuring that out, because verticals kind of, I don't know, let's put it this way, static and everything, that kind of electricity travels in vertical waves, so you'll get more of it from a vertical antenna than a horizontal. So if you're getting it on your hex beam, I'd say you better call them. Next thing I got to say for Tim, you're using a fan to keep your radio cool and stuff like that. We got a lot of little fans that would probably do an excellent job that are at the swap shop now. If you ask somebody where they're at, well, look for me when I'm there. I'll tell you. I know exactly where they're at because I filled that box up with them. So maybe that can help you out. Also, Charles had asked if anybody had heard from John, AA4JS, and I think maybe John, our net control this evening, or even Tim, W6WWW, might know more about if they have talked to John recently, so you might want to let Charles know that. Also, for POTA, I was going to give some people a little bit of information. If you get on Google and just Google Parks on the Air, there'll be a nice few things come up right as to start. And when it says Parks on the Air and it's got a vertical slash POTA, and then it's got HTTPS underneath it, and it says parksonair.com. Just below that says Parks on the Air, and then /POTA/Parks, and program for amateur radio. Click on that, and the next thing you'll come up is a nice green screen. It says POTA, has a picture of a couple of like evergreen trees in the middle of it, Parks on the Air. And right below that, it says Help Getting Started. And you just click on that, and it'll get you set up. You put your call sign in there and everything. And then when you go back and do it again, all you do is log in and then put your call sign on if it doesn't automatically do it. And then you're ready to go. And you program what you want to look at. If you want to look at all bands at once, or if you want to look at 20 meters or 10 meters or whatever, and each and every one of those ones that show up in there that are logged on there for POTA activations will tell you if they are CW or whatever, if they're maybe if they're FT8, whatever it is, or single side, it'll show you that that's what they are. So you can hunt that way and find them all on 20 meters and wherever you want to check. And it's got quite the listing on there, and I think you'll really enjoy doing it that way. And that's what I do when I'm just hunting, and it makes it super simple. You just flip across the dials and find these people, and if you can hear them, 99% of the time they can hear you. So at this point, I think I'll turn it back to you, John, and let you and Tim maybe get back with Charles there. This is W8KZT, and good evening to everybody. Have a great evening.
Thank you for that, Rick, W8KZT. This is Net Control, November 6th, Juliet Delta Hotel. I had a POTA activation at Key Acosta this last week that something happened for the first time to me. I actually had a park-to-park from a DX. Actually, it was a twofer. He was in 2 parks in Germany. And I worked him. And it's just as I was finishing up and I'd released the push-to-talk, a local another park-to-park quickly asked me if he could work him in Germany on my frequency. And I didn't hesitate. I said, of course. And I thought back to after I did that, and they went ahead and exchanged info. But I thought to that back to AA4JS, who is my mentor in POTA, and he said, always be willing to help. And so that's what made me say yes, even though it was the first time I've ever experienced it. I didn't know if it was appropriate or not, but it was the right thing to do. So the other park-to-park, the other park in the United States worked the guy in Germany on my frequency in his twofer park, and then he turned around, worked me. I turned around, and about a day later, I got one of the nicest emails that I'd ever gotten from a contact thanking me up and down for doing that. And, I think that's what it's all about, is just helping each other. And with that, Rick, if you have anything else, you can come now.
Yep, that's exactly the way it should work. Yeah, everybody should work together and make the world a better place. So I don't have anything further to put on, but if you have any information about John Scarborough, please let us know. W8KZT.
Well, thank you for that, Rick. I'm going to try to see if David's available and up on frequency. Kilo Romeo 4, Alpha Golf Mike. David, have you been able to come back up on the air? Come now. Negative contact. This is November 6th, Juliet Delta Hotel. Net Control for the Cape Coral Gabfest. Up next is Kilo India 4, Golf Echo David. Charles hit me. Go ahead, Charles. Any topic, anything you want to talk about, sir?
Oh, thank you again, John. And good. Everybody sounded good on the net tonight. I did hear when David tried to check in, it was something there, but I guess looks like he lives pretty close to you there, so you should have been hearing him. I got a question. I want to see if K4RAV Rick, if you're willing to do the net next Thursday night. Looking for somebody to take the net next Thursday. And it's a good topic tonight, and the name of the game, helping people and getting along with everybody. Sounds good there, the frequencies and everything, and it's good to hear that. I know I've done tower work before, not I've been to do groundwork. I never have climb point, but used to do for the club. We used to tear down a lot of stuff. And of course, one of the guys that did it, he's in Silent Key now, Russ Mormon. Was up in Tennessee, I think. And Jim LaFountain, I don't have his call sign right there in North Fort Myers. He used to do a lot of. We used to do taking towers down for people in the club. That's been years ago. But this new generation and new people are carrying on the tradition for sure. So I don't have anything else to add there. Let's see. Yeah, let me know, Rick, if you're willing to take the net next week. We'd appreciate it if you would. That's K4RAP. So I'll send it back to Net Control. Everybody have a safe week. I'll say 7-3. N6JDH. This is KI4GED.
KI4GED. I did get 90% of that, but the static came up incredibly. And I did copy that you were looking for another net control and you asked Rick. FYI, guys, I'm available next week. However, there are 2 weeks in a row that I'm not available in May, so it's up to you guys. And also, KI4GED, I'll be calling you on your number at 2493 after the net. Do you have anything else for us tonight, Charles?
Oh, not that I can think of. Yeah, that's the 694 number now. Yeah, I don't. That's the prefix 239694. Yeah, I'll be here, so I'll be looking for your call after that. So I'll send it back to you again. And thanks again for doing the net. Very good job. N6JDH. This is KI4GED.
KI4GED. You came up considerably better in the band there. W8KZT, do you want me to do next week, or do you want to do it, sir?
I think he's going to see if Rick wants to do it before we make any decisions on that.
Roger that. K4RAB. Rick, do you want to do it next week, sir?
Yeah, I could do it next week. Now, I may have some trouble here. If everybody can hear me okay, that's fine. I don't know if I've got a problem with this radio or not. It seems like everybody's weak tonight. So I don't know. I'll hook the 7100 up and do it and see if that does a better job. So yeah, go ahead and put me down for next week. K4RAB.
Roger that. K4RAB. I had you at about a 5.8 into Matt Lachey. That sounded good. If something happens and you can't, I can do it. But again, I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks in a row in May. Just gone on Thursdays. But anyway, it's up to you, Rick. You're next up on the list, and any topic you want to talk about, sir. Net Control, November 6th, Juliet Delta Hotel.
Yeah, I don't know if that's an open for me to transmit or not, so I'll go ahead and take it. This is K4RAB. Yeah, I'll go ahead and do it next week. So, yeah, one way or the other, we'll get on the air. This is K4RAB.
Roger that. K4RAB, do you have anything else you'd like to talk about tonight on the net?
No, except one other thing. You want to talk about something else to explore now. You talk about F8. I guess it's, and there's something called JS8 call, which is based on F8, but it's a more conversational mode. That's something I'd like to explore and see how that works out. But it's a keyboard-to-keyboard mode, so that's kind of neat too. So that's about all I can think of right now. So yeah, I've been doing some CW stuff and that kind of thing. So the band was pretty good yesterday. I was able to make pretty good contacts. One of the periods was running about 10 watts. So we're doing all right. K4RAB, back to net.
K4RAB, Rick. Out of curiosity, and you don't have to tell us if you don't want to. We know you've been doing CW, but what would you say is the ideal speed to be able to send and receive CW for POTA? Back to you.
I think those guys, most of them are going about 15, 18 words a minute. Now that's just a rough guess. That's what it sounds like to me, which is fine. I've been working some nets that are actually going faster than that. So I've gotten practiced up pretty good. Plus I've got readers here. But yeah, about 15 to 18, I think it is.
Okay, I just, it sets your bar for what you feel like you could step into it with. I mean, probably a little bit slower to start, but I appreciate that input. Next up is Kilo Foxtrot 6, Foxtrot Juliet. David, Mike, it's up to you.
Okay, we can't hear this station.
Okay, with that, are there any other late check-ins, rechecks, or anyone want to add anything to the net? This is Net Control, November 6th, Juliet Delta Hotel. Come now.
A recheck, KI4 GED.
Question W8 KZT.
KR4 AJM recheck.
Okay, guys, I didn't even write them down, but I heard Rick. Go ahead, sir.
No, I think I'll wait a minute. David's back on. KR4 AJM, go ahead.
This is KR4 AJM. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I had to walk away after I checked in. I had to take a phone call from up north from one of my daughters. I guess my question is, I missed what the topic was earlier, but I do have a question. I know, John, I've talked to you before, but I am looking, right now all I have is a UHF, VHF mobile that I kind of move between my house out to my truck, and I'm getting old with that. I'm trying to figure out, I was thinking about getting an all-in-one radio, for HF and VHF, UHF, or should I just get another UHF, VHF mobile and then buy a strictly HF radio? I just don't know all the pros and cons, if anybody can help me out on that.
Well, a lot of it, my opinion, is going to depend on your finances, but I have what they call a shack in the box, UHF, VHF, HF, and honestly, for POTA, I hardly use it. It stays in the box just for Hurricane and for Lee Aries, and then in my shack I have the 9700, which is UHF, VHF, and satellite. And then I have the 7610, which is purely HF. So I might not be the best one to answer that question. So I'm going to open it up to anybody on the net tonight. Come now.
Suggestion from W8 KZT.
Go ahead.
David, I think John was correct there. As far as what your finances or what you want to spend on it, that's the biggest point. But if you want to get an all-mode unit, one of the best ones you can get, I think, for the money is the Yaesu 991, and get the most recent version. I think it's a C model or something like that. I know there's a lot of 991As and stuff like that out there that you can probably get really dirt cheap. I've seen them anywhere from $650 up to $900 used, and that's lightly used, and that's going to give you all of the HF frequencies plus your UHF and VHF. So the only thing I didn't like about the 991 when I got this, I bought my ICOM 7300 to start with, is because of the size of the screen. I like the size of the screen in the 7300 a little better than a 91 or 991, but it's all a matter of preferences. I mean, if you can get up to like HRO, the ham radio outlet up there, just I believe it's north of Orlando. If you could get up there and put your hands on one, or maybe if you know somebody down here that has one, get with them and see what they like about it. Maybe what they have some dislikes, and make an educated guess from that. And I think that would be your best bet. W8KZT.
Yeah, I agree with that, because the first couple radios that I did buy, I bought just because I looked on the internet. I tried to do my own personal reviews because I really didn't know that many people in the club yet. That's why I started going to the lunch bunch and trying to really, rub shoulders with people and really get, who's a better person to tell you about a radio than somebody that's already had it. I have been buying all my equipment from Ham Radio, but I learned today at Lunch Bunch there's another place that's kind of a little bit cheaper. So, I like going there because I like to learn stuff. But yeah, I just didn't know, is it a better value as far as operation, having two separate rigs, or is a shack in a box? I mean, what's been your guys' thoughts on that? Now, granted, I am a new ham operator, but I don't mind investing the money, but I want to invest in something that's going to be practical and for something to use for a few years.
Are there any additional comments or suggestions on that? Net Control, November 6th, Juliet Delta Hotel. Go ahead, Whiskey 6, Triple Whiskey.
All right, everybody. I'm not sure if somebody's talking that we just can't hear or whatever. I'm not sure. I stepped away for a second, but I was showing you guys we've got a lot going on in weather right now, and this is out near Omaha. I mean, this is way out there. These storm chasers, we're watching what looks like a lowering right now with the storm chasers, and so I'm going to stay with this for a few minutes. But this does look like some kind of lowering. Look at this.
Why?
I don't know. And there's a sunset going on and a hell of a lightning storm, and it's making for some really cool pictures coming out of Omaha. Nebraska.
Some dude from MASH dies and they're making.
Okay, well, there you go. Look at that thing. Amazing.
I want to see the body cam footage of.
Thank you for that, Whiskey 6, Triple Whiskey. Also, Kilo Romeo 4, Alpha Golf Mike. If you were at Lunch Bunch today, you probably heard some of us talking about the Yaesu 710 and the current pricing on it. You might want to shop that if that's one of your considerations, because I've never seen one for that price, and everybody was talking about that. One version, the 710 with the external mic or the external speaker, and then the 710 field are just incredibly blown out sale prices right now. But I don't know if you noticed everybody talking about that. And with that, is there anybody with an additional comment on Dave's scenario here? Come now. Nothing heard. Kilo Romeo 4, Alpha Golf Mike, do you have anything else? You missed round 1 and now you're on round 2. We're going to give you a little extra time. Is there any other questions you have for the group? Come now.
Just to let you know, my call sign is actually Kilo Romeo 4 Alpha Juliet Mike.
My mistake. I'm sorry, I did that wrong. Alpha Juliet Mike, corrected now.
Yeah, that's okay. Honestly, it's been a common mistake, and I get it all the time. Hopefully, my call sign will be changing tomorrow if everything goes through with the FCC. It's been about 21 days here, and I think it's supposed to process tomorrow, but we'll see about that. I guess the other part I forgot to add, and John and I talked to you because I went out there to the last swap shop, and I sat there for the POTA hunting, which I really didn't understand what POTA was at first, but I learned a lot that day, and it seemed really interesting and intriguing. So the other consideration I do have for everybody is when you're doing the hunting or even, activating, is it mostly just on the HF? I thought I had heard that it's really hard to get VHF contacts. And then also the second part of my question is it practical to take a UHF, VHF, or I guess a shack in a box, or should I just go out with a HF rig?
Well, this is Net Control. With that, when I first started doing POTA, I used my 7100, which is in essence the shack in the box. Now, if you were going to have both of them and try to get VHF and UHF, you're going to have to set up 2 antennas and switch back and forth. With that, I was able to get a 2-meter contact at Babcock, but it was somebody driving up Interstate 75. And, of course, you had to call, CQ Parks on the air, and you were on, of course, 2-meter Simplex because you can't use a repeater. So, personally, again, it's finances. If you can swing it, I would go for a separate HF radio, but that's all up to the individual person. My 7100 does just as well on a POTA as my 7300, with the exception that my 7100 doesn't have an internal tuner. So with that, do you have any other questions, David? Net Control, November 6th, Juliet Delta Hotel.
I don't have any other questions at this time, but I think I'm leaning more towards, 2 different rigs, to be honest with you. Just based on what I've been hearing from a lot of people, and I guess I heard about an all-in-one. You're missing some, I don't know what features or what's missing on them, but it seems like you get a lot more if you have a HF rig all by itself.
Yeah, I don't think in something that maybe is a shack in a box type of radio for POTA, you're going to get the best of everything. I mean, that's just my opinion, because I don't think you're going to be restricted in size. But with that, are there any additional rechecks? Come now. KO4 EFS, Ian, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention when I'm out doing POTA, when I'm up in the mountains, it's different down here maybe, but when I'm up in the mountains, I can usually get a 2-meter contact. Somebody will be listening. So I like to do it. I also haven't done it yet, but I plan to start trying to call on 2-meter sideband call. So I mean, I'm going to start experimenting with it when I'm up at my cabin up in the mountains, when there's a lot of POTA up there. Wow, a lot of POTA in the mountains. You can do doubles and triples and all kinds of stuff up there. And when I'm up there doing POTA, when I'm up there just in my cabin, I have my 75 water hooked up, and I've got it hooked up to this big old antenna that we put up there at my cabin. And I've probably hunted, 25 or 30 POTAs on there, just sitting around my cabin listening to 2-meter call channel. So there is people out there that'll listen, but it is a lot more challenging. But I like the challenge. So I've become a big fan of 2 meter sideband lately. I'm having a lot of fun with it. So we'll see if we can do some pod on that too. All right, guys. It's been good talking to everybody. Thanks for taking the net. Have a good one, everybody. KO4 EFS 73s.
Thank you, Ian, KO4 EFS. With that, I'm going to call again. If there's any rechecks or anybody that wants to add anything, come now, please.
Yeah, I had a question, W8KZT.
Go ahead, W8KZT. Rick, go ahead.
Okay, I had a question for Rick, K4RAB, about his CW reader. How is that hooked up to your radio, or is that something you just set in front of the speaker, or how does that work?
Well, this K4REB, it depends on what radio. Now, my Kenwood or any of the rigs like the ICOM 7100 that have the built-in sound card, you can use that with FL Digi. It'll pick the sound card up, and then you set it to your whatever your usual tone is. Like I set 600 hertz is my side tone frequency, so I set it 600 hertz away, and then that way I can be right on frequency when I hear a station at 600 hertz on 600 hertz frequency. Now another thing, two of my radios also have built-in decoders, the TS590 and my 7100. Well, and my KX3 all have built-in decoders. I've been using the KX3 here lately with its built-in decoder alone, and it's been great. So, and sometimes I catch things it doesn't, and the other way around. So that's how it's working. K4REB.
Roger that, Rick. Well, that sounds pretty interesting. I'm going to look and see if the 7300 would do that same thing. I would think it should. So I just not dug into it that deep. Okay, John and Charles had something else to add too. I didn't want to leave him out.
Roger that. Kilo India 4, Golf Echo Delta. Charles, do you have anything else to add, sir?
Well, thank you, John. Well, I wanted to announce one. We did have a silent key this weekend. This week. I'm not sure if he was a member of the club or not, but KN4ZW, Kilo November 4, Zulu Whiskey. KN4ZW passed away, named Jim, was a silent key this week. And you get back to the radios, I used, actually I'm using this, it's a Shack in the Box, I guess, but it's an old one. It's the TS2000, but I just use it for 2 meter 440. It does sideband and all that, and it does 100 watts on 2 meters. And for HF, I like a separate radio, and I use the ICOM 7410. That's the one before the 7300. But if I was going to buy another radio, I'd probably, price-wise and everything, and kind of keep it simple, I'd go with the IC 7300 myself. But that's it. That's my 2 cents worth. So I'll send it back to you, 7-3. Turn it back to you. Thanks, Rick, for doing the net next week, K4RAB, and I'll send it back to John. N6JDH, this is KI4GED.
Thank you, KI4GED, for your input. I do have a question for K4RAB. Rick, are you still on the air for a question?
Yeah, I'm still here. It's K4RAB.
Rick, on your Elecraft KX3, is the decoder part of the basic package, or is that an add-on to it? Back to you.
Nope, that's a basic thing. Comes with all KX3s. The add-ons are like the antenna tuner and the roofing filter. But the code reader comes as part of the package. It also reads RIDI, so it doesn't just do CW. It may actually do some of the other modes too, but I know it does RIDI and CW.
So are the paddles included with that also?
No, I don't have the paddles. In fact, most of the time I use a wind gear, but no, the paddles are not included in the package. You have to buy those separate.
Thank you very much for that information. I've been eyeballing it, but you'd agree it's purely a CW radio, correct?
Oh no, it'll do. It does voice too. It's that your power is limited. If you're not used to QRP operation, you may find it frustrating. It's the maximum power is about 15 watts.
Roger that, but they do have an amp to bring it up to 100, correct?
Yep, and you better be prepared to spend a little money. That's the amp's pretty expensive.
Copy that. Isn't the hobby a little expensive, though? Back to you.
Yeah, it is a bit expensive, and the prices on the Elecraft gear have really gone up recently. I bought a K2 back in 2004 and paid $600 for it, and it's now up to $1,600.
Wow. Well, I really appreciate your input tonight. It's a valuable input from a seasoned ham, and I don't mean like a Virginia ham. Back to you.
Okay. I'm Florida ham all the way. So anyway, yeah, the KX3 is a great radio. It's got a terrific receiver. In fact, it's got the best. As far as I'm concerned, it's the best for CW, and the K2 is very good right next to it. So I've got 2 Elecraft rigs. We've got some other guys in the club, like Innate GU. He's got a K3. I don't know if anybody's got a K4 yet, but I'm sure it's coming. But back to you, K4REB.
I appreciate that very much, Rick. Now, with that, is there any late check-ins or anyone that wants to recheck or add anything to the net tonight? Come now. This is November 6th, Juliet Delta Hotel, net control. Nothing heard. I want to sincerely thank everyone for checking in tonight and supporting the Cape Coral Gabfest. It's honestly always a pleasure hearing from everyone, and I want everyone to have a safe and healthy week and hope to hear from all of you next week. This is November 6th, Juliet Delta Hotel, 73s to everyone. I'm closing the Cape Coral Gabfest and returning this frequency to normal amateur use. Good night, everyone.
Great job, John.
I'm getting used to it. I don't mind it, really, to be honest with you, and I think it's great that we're rotating it personally.
Yeah, I do too, because not everybody's going to be available every week to do it. I was kind of hesitant for next week because I didn't know what I had planned. So I'm glad Rick's going to take it, and hopefully I'll be good to go for the next, or Ian or whoever. So looking forward to do it. So thanks again.
Yeah, copy that. Again, I'm going to be gone for 2 Thursdays. I've got previous commitments. But again, everyone, thank you for attending the net tonight, and good night. This is November 6th, Juliet Delta Hotel. And Charles, I will be ringing your number in a few minutes. Go ahead, Tim. Roger that. I talked to him on Saturday. I copy that. I appreciate that, Tim. And I hope sometime to be able to do a POTA or hunt you sometime or activate and have you hunt me. '73's from November 6th, Juliet Delta Hotel.
K4 SJC repeater. Boy, nobody caught that. W8 KZT, clear.
I didn't find it funny.
Yeah, you did. Hey, how you like that accent?
You betcha.